Hey, everybody. Welcome to our weekly ecosystem office hours call. I am your host, Jinx, and we are joined, as always, by the best and brightest in the Pocket ecosystem. Sorry if my throat sounds a little rough today, but I have been on a lot of calls in the last 7 days, and that tends to have an effect there. First of all, I want to start today's call by shouting out Jerry and Bruce both, who have been working non-stop with support tickets in our Discord. I think we have cleared over 100 tickets in the last 2 weeks. It has been quite a pace, and that's been a ton of work that they've been doing on their parts. So appreciate that. And also shout out to Arthur and Jorge, who have both jumped in to provide additional support in our help desk queue for their respective domains. So big thanks to y'all. We certainly couldn't do it without you. Um, Above and beyond that, we have a ton of, well, first, I guess let's wrap up the support side of things. If you are having difficulty with getting your own personal custodial node upgraded, you are welcome to open a ticket there. And if you have a node runner who has disappeared or has decided for one reason or another to not participate in the upgrade process, then also do the same. But please keep an eye out. We are barraged by spammers and impersonators and all the rest of that. Any link that gets posted in the Discord channel is probably a scam link. So we only use the help desk channel within that Discord. Do not go somewhere else. We have set up like 4 different bots trying to block these people, and they keep coming up with new ways to get around it. So pay attention. We cannot recover crypto that has been stolen through these methods. And moving on to foundation updates. Actually, let's start with protocol updates. My head has been all over the place. Fred, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Jinx. It's good to be back. On our goals for this week are really just 2 major things. Well, I'll say 3. Number 1 is avoiding any showstoppers or chain halts. So there are a number of things that we're monitoring when it comes to alpha, beta, mainnet, and we're making constant upgrades and updates there. As you guys can see, client keeps upgrading and the 3 chains continue to be updated. So we're attacking that kind of on all fronts, and we're continuing to tune our Grafana and alerting and monitoring so that we can make sure that we avoid any potential halts or any factors that could cause that. Our second goal is for most of you on this call, and that is to make the relay miners and the suppliers on the network content. So this means addressing known issues with the relay miner, enhancing the relay miner experience, and then also getting the amount of traffic that we were sending to mainnet to full blast. And that should make everybody happy, or I won't say happy. We'll make everybody content again. And then from there, we'll try to do our best to pump the relays and keep things climbing, and hopefully see other gateways and other adopters join the network. Other things that we're working on, we've been going through some updates and upgrades with our front end and preparing kind of the reintegration of our front end back into Path. Also be on the lookout for XRPL EVM update and a possible new chain listing there. They've been teasing it on Twitter if you follow the Peersist account. They've been asking a lot of tweets of when mainnet. So that seems to be on the horizon here. And with that, we'll obviously want to enable RPC access. Just miscellaneous things on our end. If you were a GCP Marketplace subscriber to Grove, you've been enjoying $2 per million for the last 60 days after we launched the $5 per million. That just changed yesterday. Beyond that, we're working with the foundation to migrate the ownership of the legacy POKT.network domain. And that is pretty much it on the Grove end.
Thank you, sir. And speaking of which, we have been in the process of moving everything into the new branded domains over the last 6 months since we brought the new website online. Obviously, we currently have both the Explorer and the wallet living on the new domain. We are in the process of working on our plan to migrate the docs as well from old docs to new docs based on the documentation that um, Olshansky has been creating along the way for technical documentation, and then adding all of the normal ecosystem documentation to that as well. It's going to be a major, major project to get all of that updated. So it will take some time. And if you are experienced in document management and want to be a part of that, then please feel free to reach out. Also, we have talked before about the need for a governance overhaul. Currently, the forum is broken, and we do not even have the ability to add any new voters to the ecosystem entirely. So we have started the process of getting our committee together to examine our options for governance within the Cosmos ecosystem. Merdad is our first governance committee member, and Alex Cryptocorn is going to be the second. If you have a deep and abiding interest in DAO governance and some experience in that arena, please feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to have you as part of the committee and be part of the conversation around that. Wins and announcements. We have a number of things that are in the pipeline, and I don't think I can even say most of them right now, which is frustrating because some of them are coming up in the next several days. I will say that we have some new partnerships that we'll be announcing very shortly, and that we are going to have greater DeFi support for our Base and Solana tokens in short order. So keep an eye out for that. Tracy let me know this morning that F-Chains seems to be all up and running and on track. If anyone is having some difficulties there, I know there was some reconfiguration that was required. Please make sure that you reach out and let us know. And I think that's all that's right at the top of my head for this second. Oh, actually, I take that back. Seeing Kansu's lovely face reminded me. We are in the process now of getting our Kepler wallets set up and tested so that we can generate our Kepler multisig for the Cosmos ecosystem for the DAO Treasury account. Once that is completed and tested out, then we will be transferring the DAO Treasury balance to that multisig and publishing out the address. And then Kansu will be writing up the accounting for the period of time between the migration of the DAO Treasury and the placement in the new multisig, where it will once again be accessible and visible to everyone along the way. We have not published the single account address now, specifically because of the fact that we didn't want to provide a target while we were in transition from the old account to the new multisig. So once that is completed, which I believe should be mid next week, then we will publish out the accounting from that as part of our next transparency report. And I think
no, can I jump in real quick? Sorry about the F chains. There are definitely a few chains, and I'm not putting anyone on blast here, by the way. I'm just saying there's a few chains where I've had 100% failure rate because I've been testing this in the background for a couple days. I'm just going to call it out here. I can write it down later unless someone wants to scribble it as I talk. But Arbitrum Sepolia, ETH Sepolia, ZK Sync, Tron, Tycho Hecla, and Radix. And Polygon, my boy, and Oxabolia are channels that I've had issues with. I'll write it all down for you, Tracy. I know you just took yourself off mute. But it is just like a handful of channels that I just cannot seem to get a request to go through on beta or main.
Thanks, Art. Yeah, if you could send it to me, I'll take a look.
Thank you. And for the node runners that are on here, just check your configuration. So it's mostly test nets that are affected in Radix. So thank you.
Yeah, and as a reminder, of course, with the F-Chains program, your nodes are expected to respond successfully. So that is definitely part of the equation for your continuation with the program. So please do keep an eye out on those things for whichever nodes you're running. I says sounds like it was the chains where Dash was changed to hyphen and such on service IDs. Yes, there was a rather sudden renaming of a number of service IDs. that didn't come with much notice, and I imagine that there's probably still some reconfiguration happening there. But as always, please feel free to reach out to Tracy if there are any questions or coordination that's required on that. Jerry posted B Sharp's message from the community chat. Yeah, B, you're in here. You could have just like literally typed it in the chat here, man. You know I keep both channels up all the time, so I got you covered. But so there has been multiple experimentation around ledger-based staking and such. I know that I actually personally sent Olshansky a ledger device so that he could use for his testing with the Cosmos ledger integration. We believe that there is enough native support for Ledger within Cosmos that we won't need to wait for the entire rebuild of the application that they have suggested would be necessary. But experimentation with that is ongoing around all of the other active support issues with the protocol. So it's still a little bit slow at this point. If you don't have an open ticket in the help desk, you are welcome to open one up for tracking. We will be running through and providing updates there as we come about. But unfortunately, I don't have an updated ETA for that just yet. However, it is a huge priority for a number of people in the ecosystem, and we will be pushing out a solution to that as quickly as possible. And hiding from work for the call. I got you, man. Well, you're here, so we're happy to have you. Other questions? Or have I missed anybody? I don't think I have. Oh, in case you missed the announcement earlier in the week, the Soothe wallet has pushed an update out that resolves the file handling bugs that were in the previous version. So if you were dealing with difficulties in importing an old Morse wallet using your key file method, please make sure you are updated to the latest version of Soothe, and that should be resolved. And the floor is open. When more relays on mainnet. Last I saw, they were looking to have 100% of traffic rolling this week. And of course, we have more traffic coming as some of the other services come online. Art or Fred, do y'all have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll throw this out there. So a couple things here. One, we should be ramped up per Olshansky's message yesterday to 70% of all remaining chains. We'll probably leave like 1% or less of traffic on beta just so that we can continue to test there for future chain upgrades, but very, very small percentage. From there, we're on target to be 100% or 99 point, whatever percent by the end of the week. With that, obviously with the transition and our service being continuously down going on 22 days today, customers are certainly not sending nearly as many relays. So I wouldn't expect massive numbers. And the fluctuation is also very high. The fluctuation in the day-to-day relays is highly, highly, highly dependent on the quality of service that we provide, because customers at this point in blockchain RPC are extremely sophisticated, and they load balance across multiple RPC providers and do active health checks. So the minute their service stops passing, or our service stops passing their health check, they pivot to Infura, Alchemy, DRPC, et cetera, et cetera. So it is absolutely critical that the quality remains high, and while Path does a lot of the job, it's a two-way street. I'll also say that there have been some questions about the day-to-day fluctuation in relays. I want to remind everyone that we exist in a permissionless network, and right now Grove is the only provider of relays, but we hope very much that there will be additional providers of relays and additional owners of different services. Grove will not be responsible for every single service that is launched on POKT. That is a old paradigm from POKT Morse. And so the renaming, while I will say was done rapidly, I want you all to imagine a world in the very near future where larger gateways than Grove decide to do the same thing that was done on Monday this week, and they do it with no notice, and they do it with 50 times the relays. The only thing that can drive you to restake is incentives, and if they're there, you'll do it. And if you don't want the incentives, then you don't have to do it. You don't have to respond and restake in the middle of the night. But I just want to put that out there and remind everyone that we are in Shannon now. It is fully permissionless. The names of the services can change at any time. The owners of the services are solely responsible for those services, and they will change them when they want, however they want, and they might not be as kind as Grove is. With that, I put down my microphone.
Noted on all the above. The relationship with Grove has been very tightly bound to the ecosystem at large for some time, and that paradigm very much is changing. We started to see some of that when the additional gateways came online during Morse, but with it being a fully permissionless environment from here on out with Shannon, it is important to remember that the gateways themselves don't necessarily need to have any relationship at all with the ecosystem at large. They may simply stake for throughput, use it for as long as they want, and then unstake, and that might not be an uncommon activity at all. We have some programs that are in line or that are in mind for the future about that we're going to be building out. One of them is the Stake on Demand program, which will essentially be gateways or apps who want to have support for custom data types, essentially creating a bounty in advance for node runners to stake against whatever their data source is, and prepaying essentially for their throughput into the network. So that'll be something that we'll see soon as well. We also have one gateway coming online July 7th and announcements about another one coming up soon. So stay tuned for that. has asked, do Cosmovisor update all nodes at the same time because my relay miner full node was unresponsive for 2 minutes today while it was auto updating. QoS will be potato if all suppliers are down at the same time on the whole ecosystem. Good question, and I don't know enough about Cosmovisor to answer that. Fred?
I don't know enough either. I know that some people are using Cosmovisor and some are not. So I don't know. I would imagine it also has to do with the speed in which your particular instance even knows that the upgrade even exists. It might be the likelihood of it all rolling out all at once though seems very small, and the downtime, like you said, is very brief. So I'm not sure, and the risk factor here also being that the rate at which we absorb updates should be much slower in the very near future.
Anyway, and this is my personal opinion on that topic, is that anyone that is running a validator, not just a full node, a validator, should not be using Cosmovisor, because we need that those people running validators are responsible enough to check what is deployed on that code, review that code, review those changes, and ensure that nothing bad is there before release. Because if everyone, as validators, use Cosmos and auto-deploy an upgrade, we can just be accepting something in the code that is bad for the network. So
Yeah, and
validators should not be taking Cosmos as a simple feature.
Go ahead, James.
No, go ahead, Fred.
I was going to say we operate validators on XRP LAVM testnet, and we will do the same on mainnet. And I personally choose not to use Cosmovisor. I am actually not a fan of it. I understand that there are many fans, and that's obviously an opinionation about how you want to manage your infrastructure, and that's totally fine. You're allowed to do it however you want. But I prefer the manual ability of absorbing the upgrade at time. I know it's a little bit more tedious sometimes, and maybe upgrades might be at an inconvenient time, But the tight control of validators, I would recommend.
Yeah, and I think that Jorge has brought up a really important point here, something that speaks to some of the greater changes in ecosystem paradigms that we've been talking about. Um, the validators have always been the final veto on the network. If the validators choose in mass to not update code, then that code change is not integrated. And so it's not just a matter of let's stake validators and earn yield. The ecosystem has been very yield focused for a long time, but the validators have an actual important responsibility on the network, which is to review and accept code changes to the protocol itself, as Jorge's mentioned. Um, and so part of what we're looking at for the future of our ecosystem architecture is how many validators should we really have in place? 1,000 seems kind of high, all things considered. And I've gone back and forth on that topic while doing research on various architectures. I've seen a lot of Cosmos chains with far fewer. I mean, like 6 to 10 total validators that are just stacked up very high. And the security aspect of validator stake is a matter of total tokens staked, not total validator nodes. In our previous architecture, there was incentive to run validators because you could be both a stake weighted service node and also be a validator, and it was basically just doubling up on yield. But I think it disconnected the mindset around the responsibility of the validator, and in many cases, we had difficulties with getting critical and necessary validator updates passed because not enough people who were running validator nodes were paying attention when upgrades came in. And so achieving 2/3 consensus became a challenge. So the way that we are structuring or encouraging the architecture of our validation pool is to have a smaller pool, but using the Cosmos validator delegation function to build very tall towers. In the past, you were able to have validators for as little as 75 to 80,000 pocket. In the future, we can expect all validators to be in the 7-figure plus range. Everyone who's delegated to a validator can participate and have a share of the validator rewards. And the frequency of selection for block production is based on the total stake and delegation to that validator. So there's not really a need for everyone to be running their own validator as much as there is to have a tight pool of plugged in validator operators who understand the responsibility and then who are doing the work to market themselves as a quality validator that encourages delegation from the community at large. If you are not performing well, if you get jailed as a validator, then all of the people who are delegating to you are no longer receiving rewards for their portion of that delegation, which means they don't stay with you. So the way that the rewards and incentive system works for validators is pretty significantly different in the post-Shannon world, but makes for a much stronger validation pool and opens up validator rewards to as many people in the ecosystem who want to be part of it. So that'll be something that is evolving over the coming months. We did open a new slot to put a test validator slot in place for node runners to experiment with on mainnet. You can, we've already seen a couple of the node runners have been competing for active stake for that slot and pushing each other out, and one got jailed, so got pushed out because of that. If you want to experiment with staking on that, you are welcome to do so. We will be opening up additional slots, but only when we are ready to bring on additional validators who we know are specifically going to be active participants, not just somebody trying to get in from a yield perspective. But for node runners, that will also be a way for them to have an additional line of revenue as offering staking on or via delegation on their validator tower. So more on that as it comes out. Right now, we have kept the validator pool very small, specifically because of that reason. We need to push updates quickly, which means we need to get consensus quickly. And the fewer validators there are, the easier it is to get the required consensus to push an update forward.
Maybe just to bring more context on the Cosmovisor. Actually, the Cosmovisor has an option to not download the binaries. So once we have more long-term planned upgrades, say weeks or months, validators and node runners could actually download or build their own binaries, prepare them, and let Cosmovisor run them once the upgrade is done. So this is one option of Cosmovisor. The good thing about it is that it coordinates the nodes actually on when they will update, and this will make them all kind of synchronously, continuously build or increase in blocks. There is also one thing on the actually on the upgrades taking a bit of time. We will make sure that the upgrades do not happen at session ends, so that actually relays could continue to flow and accumulate normally. It is not a problem being kept for a few minutes. The only thing is that they should not go beyond one session of downtime, I would say.
So basically, if we just drop the new binary on the right place for Cosmovisor, it could use that binary, right? That is?
Yes, and you add the option to not download the
Yeah.
binaries.
Okay. Thanks for that info, Red.
Beautiful. Other questions?
If no other question, I will just give Red feedback about the latest update that Olshansky mentioned to take under our own risk is working more than well. The WebSocket fix is, I think, is already released the 23 version and is working really well. So it's safe to update, but you need to update first your full node setup to handle right the connection settings. But it's working way better than the previous one.
Excellent. And if anyone here has not been following along in the migration working group channel, let me tell you, if Jorge is giving it a thumbs up, that's a huge thumbs up. Other questions, comments, compliments, complaints?
Oh, I can complain about a lot.
Don't get me started with things, please.
Don't ask things that you don't want, Jinx.
We greatly appreciate your contributions, Jorge. Everybody in the migration working group has been awesome in pushing forward and getting things debugged and doing testing and getting stuff up and running. And yes, Jorge is famous for being very verbal and vocal about concerns and considerations within the updates. All right. Well, it's I'm not hearing a whole lot here. I'll give it another 60 seconds ago or so to make sure that anybody that does have a question or anything is able to get it in there. Stay tuned, y'all, because I mean, there is so much in the pipeline. You have no idea. And we have been working at the foundation like nonstop every day, trying to get some of these things pushed through. There are some major names that we're going to be dropping in very short order. So it's, there's a lot to be excited about over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And Also, I think if we all chant IBC in front of a candle in a dark room at night, that may show up faster, but no guarantees. That's something we're certainly looking forward to as well. All right. Well, looks like we're wrapped for today then. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate y'all coming out every week, and we'll see you again, same time, same channel next week.